Tommaso Della Longa joins us from Geneva. Sir, you're a spokesperson for the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. Obviously, you're all very active across the Gaza Strip in the delivery of aid. What can you tell us? What are your teams telling you, the teams that are on the ground in the Strip, about the delivery of aid?
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me today. But what Palestinian Red Crescent colleagues are telling us is that the situation is simply a nightmare for people. Of course, the news of aid re-entering Gaza Strip, it's a positive news, but it's really less than a drop in the ocean. And actually today here in Geneva, we had the president of Palestinian Red Crescent, and he was telling us that, even if some trucks has entered, this doesn't mean that aid was delivered to the people. So till now, people didn't get basically anything, and still we need to have a humanitarian operation at scale, which means that if before the conflict started, we're talking about 500-600 trucks a day, now probably we would need like a number that is double, because the needs are immense. People are starving. There are issues to find clean water and to get aid support. It's just a nightmare that is continuing to worsening day after day.
At this point, what is preventing the small amount of aid that has entered the Gaza Strip over the last 3 days or so? What is preventing it from reaching different parts, all parts of the Strip?
Well, this is on the specific of these trucks. It's difficult for me to answer because the Red Cross Red Crescent is not really not a consignee, so they're not involved in these trucks that are entering in the Gaza Strip. I would say on a larger scale and a larger picture, the main point here is that we need to have a humanitarian operation at scale. Again, President of Palestinian Red Crescent today said a couple of trucks entering is an invitation for killing. People are desperate. We need much more humanitarian aid, within which we need food, we need water, we need commercial items, we need medicines, we need formula for babies. But at a scale that is not only 180 or 5 as the numbers that were said in the last 2-3 days.
Yeah, what is your current latest assessment in real time of the needs of the Palestinian population inside the Gaza Strip? I mean, as of a few days ago, the UN had said that around 2 million were facing starvation.
Well, it's exactly it. We're talking about 2 million civilians that have lost everything, that have been displaced 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times in a situation where there is no safety, there is no logistic to move. There is it's not easy to find food. There is no clean water. Hospital are almost all shut down. I just can't give you the figure of almost half of the clinics and health posts of the Palestinian Red Crescent ceased operation because there are not any medicines and medical equipment. So the situation, it's just, as I said, a nightmare day after day. I'm a father myself. I cannot even imagine if not being able to feed my 4-year-old daughter. So this is what the Palestinians are facing day after day. And what it's really frustrating is that we have been keeping saying exactly the same messages for now solid 19 months. And if you take away the months of ceasefire, the situation is keeping worsening in front of inaction of everyone.
I know a lot of your focus is on health. And we focus, and everyone can understand why, on food, because there are deaths due to starvation-related causes. But what we don't count, and we tend not to have numbers for, are people who also die due to lack of health care and lack of access to hospitals or any kind, whether it's primary, secondary care, or urgent care. And that's something that tends to fall by the wayside.
Thank you very much for this question. It is very, very, very important. We call it silent death because, of course, there is starvation. Of course, there are people who are killed by bombardments, by the results of the war, the wounded, and so on. But then, just to give you an example, in the Palestinian Red Crescent clinics, chronic diseases are not anymore treated because treatments are not anymore there. So can you imagine the suffering for patients who need to have chemotherapy, who need to have dialysis, who need to have heart diseases, or the people with diabetes who doesn't have access to insulin? And of course, this is again the result of the blockage of humanitarian aid, the result of hospitals that instead of opening are closing. Again, I give you an example. During the ceasefire time, Palestinian Red Crescent was able to reopen 2 field hospitals, even in north of Gaza, which was almost inaccessible Now, since the ceasefire is not anymore there, hospitals are keeping closing, whether because they are they are targeted during the conflict, or simply, as I was saying before, because medicine and medical equipment are not anymore there, because fuel is not anymore there, because there is not anymore electricity to have a surgery room up and running. And of course, this is simply unacceptable. Thinking about it in 2025, sincerely speaking, it's shocking for all of us.
Tommaso Della Longa, a spokesperson for the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.